what happened in the Belgian Grand Prix weekend. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I hope you all had a very nice mid-season break. I'm sure it was very nice putting your feet up, not stressing about a race on the weekend, just enjoying it. Of course, we had 8 insane races previous. Well, I say 8 insane weekends, 32 races in the first half of the season, and we've returned in Belgium, in Spa, in one of the most iconic tracks of the calendar, to continue this season. First of all, I apologise for this podcast being a tad late. On Sunday I had to get ill, hence I wasn't doing the Division 1 commentary. I am improving. My breathing is not great. The only thing that's not great right now is my breathing, so apologies if there's just like a bit of a break while I'm catching my breath. I have been living off my inhaler, which has not been great fun, but I'm doing okay. Yes, welcome back to XRS. For those of you who are new to the league, that joined mid-season, I know a lot of you did, that are new to this podcast. Yes, this is the normal podcast, basically. See, with the blue trim, with the blue like frame on the outside, that's like the special edition episodes where we talk about other things. This is our gold, this is our orange, this is our normal episodes where I do a rundown of every single race in the race weekend. So yes, thank you very much for joining us on XRS. I hope you enjoy it here. I'm going to explain how the podcast works to those of you who are new. So we have 4 different categories for every single race. We have our driver winner, the driver who I think performed the best. I mean, of course, it doesn't have to be the person who finished P1. It could be proportional best. Sometimes maybe they're struggling at the back and they have an unreal drive and they end up at the front. It can be anything kind of thing like that. The driver that I think performed the best. Then of course we have driver loser. Driver loser is a driver that was on the back foot, struggled this weekend, wasn't really their race, they made mistakes, and they were maybe in a good position and lost it. That could be potentially what it is. Then we have my team winner. Team winner is 2 drivers that just work really well together. It can be obviously from the same team. It can be 2 individual very good races. It could be, for example, both drivers in the team having very good races, or they could be worked really well together, helped each other, and that stuck out to be our team winner. And similarly, we have our team loser, the 2 drivers that are on the same team that maybe didn't partner up so well together this weekend. Maybe it had some struggles, maybe had 2 individual bad races. We'll be chatting about that today. So first of all, we're going to start in the Thursday race. We're going to start with Division 4. What a race. What a way to start a weekend, you know. Division 4 always gets you into the mood for racing. You have a Thursday night watching a race. Unreal. My driver winner, 100%, goes to Mr. K1Yo Breezy. First of all, first win of the season. His first win in XRS. Unbelievable. What an accomplishment. I can only applaud that. He's done an absolutely amazing job. Qualified P3, his strongest qualifying of the season as well. So it showed that he was confident in this track. But not only that, looking at the bigger picture, the fact that Alfa Romeo have won the first race back from mid-season after this rivalry, this drama between Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri battling for P3 in the OCC. What a great way to come back on track and take a win in the first race. Brilliant job by Breezy. That was great. My driver loser. You know what we're going to do? We're going to skip driver loser. We're going to skip team winner. I'm going to go all the way down to team loser. AlphaTauri. Because this is a bit more relevant in what I said about Breezy. AlphaTauri. What on earth? What a way. This is exactly what I mean. We just saw a polar opposite. That Breezy has come through after all this drama, all this beef, all this bad words in the transfer signings and all like that, to try and beat each other, to fight for this P3 in the OCC. Alfa Romeo win the first race back, and AlphaTauri get a double DNF. One of their drivers, I believe it was Reese Tomo, or whatever his name is, he could get into the lobby. There were allegations that maybe he got kicked from the lobby. That was not true, unfortunately, because this has happened to him twice now, also in Monza. So it's definitely a him issue. It's definitely something to do with his internet. We were there, we were waiting for him. I was in the chat myself, pinging Matt, pinging him, pinging Casper to make sure he can get back into the lobby. He did not go back into the lobby. I was trying my best, but he was not vocal at all. He didn't come into the chats. He didn't respond to me. He was just talking to people in DMs. I can't see people in DMs. If you don't get... This is what I say to so many people. If you disconnect, or if you get kicked from a race, or if you're struggling, but be vocal about it. Get into a chat. Shout at me. I appreciate a lot of people are new to Discord. That's completely fine. Aim for your tier chat. Aim for your division chat. If you're in Division 1, aim for Division 1 chat. If you're in Division 4, aim for Division 4 chat. I will see it myself. I'm always there. And if I'm not there, another admin will. And we'll get you back in. aim for a chat, be public about it, say, I've been disconnected, someone will get you back in for sure. Yeah, very silly mistake from AlphaTauri. Their other driver, Klimak, has been gradually performing worse, I won't lie. I mean, he was relatively up at the front at one point in the season. I think he was potentially top 6. He's now down in 13th, and he's been overtaken by one of the Aston Martin drivers. I think Cajun's going to overtake him next race if his performances keep coming up. Just not really a good look when you've spoken all this stuff about Alfa Romeo and then haven't backed it up with anything when it comes to the race. It's a worrying thing. We are going to move on to my driver loser, though. My driver loser is 100% Liam, because I'm not quite sure how Liam has lost like 30 points in 3 races. He's had some stinkers, and I mean, we all know what Liam can do. He has, I believe, still the most points in the entire league, if not maybe Casper now. And he was dominant. You can see in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the first 6 races, he was on the podium for 5 of them. The only one he wasn't was Portugal when he spun himself. Then the previous 3 races, Monza, Hungary, and of course Belgium, we had this weekend, he finished 5th, 8th, and then 16th, and outside the points. Meanwhile, Melvin has finished 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, and before that, he's had 2 second places and then just some decent solid points. It's evident, I mean, Melvin doesn't want to race. It's evident that Liam's been performing better, but Melvin's really found his consistency. And my issue with this race, and the races previously, it's not even like Melvin is, no disrespect to Melvin, but I'm going to be honest, Melvin hasn't drawn him in. Melvin hasn't seen Liam's mistakes and striked on them and found an opportunity to find some extra points. No, it's been Liam making mistakes. I don't remember what happened. Oh, and of course I remember what happened in Monza. Monza, in fairness, Pistol Peter torpedoed him into a wall. So fair enough. That's not his fault. Hungary, Liam spun on the exit of turn 11 and then also rode the sausage curb, which took him wide, losing him like 3 or 4 positions. That's Liam's mistake. Melvin he did benefit from that. I think he was ahead anyway, but he hasn't. Yeah, I've seen no initiative from Melvin to attack and strike when Liam makes mistakes. And then similarly in Belgium, Liam turned in on a 3-way into Le Combe, and I think DNF'd somewhere else. I don't remember how he did it. And Melvin finished 5th. Again, no disrespect to Melvin, good result. But the reason this gap is so small, it was 50 points a few weeks ago. Now it's 18. It's actually in striking distance now. And the reason is, it's not because Melvin's picked up the pace, it's because Liam's been making mistakes. So the worry for Liam is, because I pretty much wrote Div 4 off. As an entertainer, trying to create drama, trying to create content about this, I almost wrote Division 4 off. I was thinking, right, I need to start looking at the Battle for P2, Battle for P3, Battle for P4, look at the midfield. Because realistically, Liam's got this wrapped up. It turns out he hasn't. Because the gap between them is 18 points now. It's so much smaller. And if Liam continues to be making these silly mistakes, maybe he's taken his foot off the throttle. Maybe he's sat back and he's put the handbrake on because he's seen that big gap and he's thought, you know what, I can just breeze myself to the end of the season and not have any worry. Evidently not. You have to practice, you have to push yourself, because no matter how comfortable you are in a division, even when you've been on the podium in the first 6 or 7 races, I should say 5 or 6 races, even better. The second you take your foot off the throttle, people catch up. People notice and people catch up. And it's going to be interesting to see what Liam could do in the long term, because there's been mistakes being made. And because we have a sprint race coming up. Next weekend is Austria Sprint. So a lot of points up for grabs. Melvin could legitimately overtake Liam in this coming weekend if Liam makes a mistake. Or if Melvin has a banger. So it could go either way. And as for team winner, I didn't think that there was a team that was deserving of team winner. Not that there wasn't good teamwork, I'm sure there was. Nothing that stuck out to me. Nothing that I think deserving of a team winner role. Team winner prize. Right, we move over to what I would say, my neck of the woods, Division 3, the race on Friday. I managed to clench the victory the very, very last lap of the race and get my second victory, retake the lead of the championship. Awesome. However, I'm not my driver winner. I have to be humble, I have to be realistic. My driver winner is 100% Skiz. What a brilliant drive from Skiz. To start 17th and finish second, and not even second, finished first on track. Unreal drive. And what a way to announce yourself back to the division, back to the league. Because of course he He's reserved previously. I remember he's reserved in, I believe, Alpine and Williams. He's come back in an Alfa Romeo, absolutely cooked. Also, side note, Alfa Romeo could have won 2 races in a row in this, and AlphaTauri had another mid-race, so that could have been unreal. But I kind of thought in that. But yeah, great job by Skiz. Started at the back, and I remember when he passed me, I was like, did this guy not start at the back? Did this guy not start behind me? What's happened there? But yeah, unreal. He's now in Red Bull, signed in a seat. While I think that the contract itself is awful. The Red Bull signing of Skiz is awful. Signing Skiz is very good. What a great signing, because he's evidently quick. The way they've done it, and I said this in the big podcast about Armin as well, the way Red Bull have done it is awful. They've done it for half a season. They've signed him for 7 races, and if he's how expensive he is, it's like 80 mil. Anyway, Red Bull are on the high road to being a backmarket team next season, but that'll be a discussion for another day. Skiz, great drive from you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can bring to this division. My driver loser, I was conflicted between 2. They were CGM Glass and MCL. I am going to lean towards Glass, despite Glass beating MCL, and I have my reasoning. First of all, MCL on pole, great job. Unreal. What a way to start it. On pole. For Alfa Romeo, again. Alfa Romeo doing well. MCL had absolutely no grip that race. I saw that he forced Matt very wide into turn 1 and forced him off track. And he also, at the exit turn 1, clipped my rear and almost put us both into a wall. Fortunately, there was no damage. He looked like he was struggling for grip. I know he's on no traction, similar to me. I'm not too sure what the problem was. I imagine it was maybe tyre temperatures, I think he spoke about. Finished 12th. Very poor. I can't sugarcoat it. Very poor. He got fastest lap in the end, but I mean, if you're a driver of his caliber and finishing 12th, fastest lap is a must. You shouldn't be back there and not have fastest lap, you know what I mean? It's an unfortunate race. The only reason I'm not giving him driver loser, even though CGM Glass finished 10th, which is ahead of him, is because, well, CGM Glass qualified 6th, again, solid qualifying, got up to the front fight, and him, Matt, and Big B, so both Mercs, and then Matt, all got the wrong strategy, not pitting under the safety car. I came out behind them on fresh tyres and just bombed it past them. It was me, Skiz, I want to say it was Tycho as well. We just zoomed past them. It was no competition. That demoted CGM down many positions, and then post-race he got penalties. I think he got one for moving on to braking. I mean, that is a silly mistake. There's 3 penalty points for absolutely nothing, you know what I mean? It's not only got him a race ban in Austria, which I add is a sprint race, so many points up to offer, especially for CGM, who's a good driver. So many points lost there. And the fact that with this result, he's now in equal points with MCL, who obviously doesn't have a race ban. CGM's got an enormous disadvantage. Then following Austria, in Silverstone, he's got a quali ban. So this race, not only did he lose the result in that strategy, he lost future results because of his poor driving. He's now got like I said, a race ban in a sprint weekend, and he's got a quali ban in Silverstone, which, I mean, I appreciate it isn't the most difficult track to overtake at, but a quali ban nonetheless, you know what I mean? It's silly. I think it's silly mistakes like that he needs to get over, because he's been caught for weaving on the straight as well. At this level, I can potentially like throw a blind eye for a back marker in Division 4. Division 3, no way. Weaving on the straight should not be something you're getting reported for. And again, similarly to what I said about Division 4, Div 3, I don't think there's a team winner that really stuck out to me. Not any teamwork that I particularly saw that I thought, wow, this is amazing. Actually, I tell you what, that's a lie. Mercedes defending me was very good. Now, no disrespect to Cajun One Eye, but I didn't watch anything of what I was doing up at the front. He enjoyed watching the midfield fights while I was doing 2v1s on the Mercs. But yeah, I was utilizing the slingshot effect you get up Eau Rouge, where you can overtake multiple people if you stay behind and use the double slipstream. I did that on the Mercs twice, or no, maybe I think it was Big B and Tycho one of the times, and Big B and CGM one of the times, and I thread the needle in between both of them. But in fairness, they weren't making it easy for me to get past. So fair play, and I have to get, as much as my my disliking of Big B is, he's a good driver. He knows what he's doing, and the way him and CGM were defending me, fair enough. Good. And you know what? Actually, even though they had a poor result, this might be the first time. Even though Merck didn't get the result they wanted to, I will give them team winner because it's evident that their teamwork is good, and they were making it as difficult as me as possible to let me get past. So fair play. I show my respect. Team loser, McLaren. Enough said. No, I'm joking. Yeah, Tom. I mean, Tom in an appeal ticket. I noticed he said had a faultless race, and then proceeded to get like 4 3-second penalties post race or something like that. Yeah, it's silly things from Tom. He overtook people on the formation lap. That gave him a penalty. I think he might have had track limit pen as well. He slammed into the side of me in turn 1 and got a 3-second for that as well. It's silly mistakes, and it's not even like, I think he was on controller as well. So it's not even like, because I mean, we know what Tom can do. He's a 3-time champion in KRL for a reason. 3-time champion out of the 5 seasons they've had, but they haven't even finished the 5th season. You know what I mean? And these mistakes is not what I was expecting to see from Mozzie Monjos. Qualified 13th. His qualifying's been incredibly poor all season. That needs to be something he needs to improve ASAP. Similar to me, my qualifying's been quite poor, but it hasn't been 13th poor. And then finished 9th. It just could have been so much more. I think he finished like 5th on track or 6th on track. And as for 5Ys, my heart goes out to 5Ys because I've said it since the start of the season. 5Ys has the most potential in the entire division. I think there's a locked potential that can be unlocked if he's in a team that pushes him and finds that potential. Not to say that McLaren won't, but they're not. You know what I mean? They're not. 5Ys qualified 10th, which is, it's just okay. It's a team that's second in the OCC. What am I saying? It's not. It's not good. It's not good. And then he DNF'd after taking an Alpine out. And it was completely his fault. He ended up getting 3 penalty points and a 10-second, which didn't matter. You know what I mean? And he's ended up getting a quali ban in Austria as well. We're in round 9. No, we're heading into round 10, and a quali ban is 9 penalty points, which means you're averaging a penalty point per race. And I'm allowed to throw shade at people that do that, because I'm now, and I'm gonna shameless plug, and I'm gonna announce it to the world. I'm the only driver in the entire league that's got 0 penalty points and done all 9 races after Neb's 10 seconds. So I'm allowed to dish it out as much as I want about penalty points. How are you getting a quali ban? And this is not just aimed at Kiernan. How are you getting a quali ban at round 10? That means that 9 races, you've got 9 penalty points. You're averaging 1 mistake per race that's been penalised for you. You know what I mean? You need to be more aware of these kind of people. I mean, 5Ys, you took him out on a straight. And it's really worrying, because in the podcast in the mid-season, I was like, there's no way Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri are going to catch them. There's no way that Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri are going to catch McLaren. The gap is getting smaller, and it's getting smaller quickly as well. And McLaren will always be my home team. It will always be. I drive for Ferrari. McLaren is my home team. And I appreciate that there's limited things that Blake can do, because he took over the team halfway through Millard's work. So it's almost like there's a little bit of just sitting back with your fingers crossed. I completely appreciate that, while Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri are driving each other. But it doesn't mean you can't maximize what you've already got. And Division 3's performance, no way is maximizing, because, like I said, Kiernan is a proved race winner. He's a very consistent driver. He's a pain to drive against when he's really focused and really good. And Tom's a 3-time champion. How are they qualifying? Both outside the top 10, or Kiernan just about inside the top 10, and finishing with, I think, 6 points. Like, I'm allowed to be harsh now. I said at the start of the season, I said past mid-season, I'm being harsh on everyone. And I'm telling you how it is. Right, on to Division 2. Fortunately, the race I did get to commentate before I got ill, and it was an absolute banger, I will say, so I highly suggest you watch that. Division 2 always have bangers. I mean, maybe I'm just bigging myself up for my own commentary. They always have bangers. Their races are unreal. We're going to start with our driver winner. I'm going to pair my driver winner with my team winner, because we have a fantastic situation where they are the same. Failing Squash and Alpine. What a brilliant set of points you've bestowed on the team that is currently sat last in the OCC. Alpine are crying out for help in almost every division. Currently sat in P10, 102 points behind Aston Martin. They are in a serious situation. And results like this is something that is going to really help bring the team back. While I don't... It sucks to say, because I like the team Alpine. I think Beaked as a TP is going to be much better than Boldy will be. Excuse me. Oh, well, burping. I do think that Beaked will be better than Boldy. The only reason I say that is because he seems more committed to the team. Whereas there didn't seem to be anything going on in Alpine in the first half. However, the team is in a very bad state as it is, so even as much as I rate Beaked as a TP, it'll be difficult for anyone to pull back the gap that he's lost. Looking at Alpine's race, they qualified 17th and 13th, very poor. I mean, realistically, someone's got to qualify 17 and 13, and again, realistically, it will be the teams that are further down the grid, but it's never a smiling situation for any team to be qualifying 17th. The first thing we had Failing Squash, his first race in Division 2 after getting moved up from Division 3. This was based on availability. It was not, unfortunately, based on his pace. So we naturally expected him to be struggling in that higher division. Completely fair. I think that's a fair assessment. Conehead, on the other hand, has been signed to start the season. Hasn't really found his feet. I mean, he managed to secure a podium, and I want to say it was Spain, but I might be getting that wrong. But yeah, he hasn't been a consistent front runner. He qualified 13th, Failing qualified 17th, which we almost expected. But what a great drive from both of them. Both of them staying off track limits, especially Failing. Staying off those track limits, benefiting on the spins up ahead. Ended up finishing P4, only just short of a podium off Corb, who was up ahead. And Conehead finished 7th. That is an enormous batch of points. That is a huge amount of points. That is a perfect amount of points for what Alpine are asking for. And like I said, while I don't think that Alpine will catch Aston Martin at the end of the season, they want to get as close as possible. This is very good. This is very good in the grand scheme of things. Looking at the actual division, like the tier constructors, they are second in the constructors championship. That's because of Koi, of course, who's been bought out by McLaren. Every other tier, I believe they're going to be quite low down. In tier 1, they're 10th. In tier 3, they're 10th. In Div 4, they're 8th. So there's a big standout in Division 2. And losing Koi was a huge thing because it's probably their most flagship, their quickest driver, their best driver, their most performing driver. And Failing's come through and performed very well. Well, he hasn't got a racing seat because there isn't an available one to him. They should be very happy with that performance. And I hope to see him on the grid sometime soon. In our driver loser, I think there's only one man that can go to. I mean, there's arguably two. I could give it to Casper, but I'm going to give it to Epic OJ. He stayed out when he should have pit with the Inters conditions, and if you don't know anything about this game, then Inters are very, very slow when they are used in comparison to fresh Inters. The degradation drop, I've said this in so many commentaries, that the grip disappears very quickly on those tyres. While it may be unnoticeable when you're driving in the wet because it's the wet, so you're naturally expecting no grip. Epic stayed out. He qualified 3rd, which is very strong, especially for what Haas are aiming to do in the grand scheme of things, potentially catch up with Williams and Red Bull and Mercedes in the OCC. Epic's qualifying, again, is on point. He's always up there at the front. Made a mistake, stayed out. Was the only one that stayed out. Ended up finishing 14th and also pushed someone into the pit lane in his slippery, desperate attempts to stay going straight, which gave him an extra penalty. Very, very unlucky because we know he's a good driver. Ends up finishing 14th, so did bag himself 2 points, but not 2 points that are going to mean much in the grand scheme of things, especially when you're qualifying 3rd. It's very unfortunate. I said Epic's still looking for his first win. I still think that Epic is a consistent front runner. He might be fighting for the title next season, but it's a difficult one to swallow, a race going this badly. Speaking of drivers being on the wrong tyres, we move on. I know, I can hear the side-eye. I can hear the side-eye. Boom boy. We're going to move on to Team Loser. AlphaTauri. Oh my lord. So they came off a double DNF in Div 4. They had a bit of a shocker in Div 3. It wasn't awful, but they finished, I think it was 8 and 9. They got their race winner got a 10-second penalty post-race in Div 1, which we'll talk about in a minute. Boom boy staying out on medium tyres in the wet conditions and colliding with none other than his teammate. Rosman was sent spinning into the grass. But I say Boom boy collided with him. I mean, Rosman hit the back of him, but I mean, it could have been anyone, and it had to be him. The AlphaTauri's qualified 4 and 6. We expect that. Rosman and Boom boy are both front runners. They're both incredibly capable drivers. They ended up finishing 8 and 12. I mean, fair, Rosman got the fastest lap. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things when Thiac, their brand new Alfa Romeo driver, nearly won the race, but made a mistake on the last lap and finished 5th. Still, they got outscored, and just another shot to the chest for AlphaTauri. I won't go too much into detail because it's looking like it's been a long podcast, but they are usually shorter than this. But yeah, it's a tricky day in the office for AlphaTauri. Again, I definitely want you guys all to go over and watch my highlights, watch the commentary and the Division 2 race. It was a banger, and I was very shocked to see the AlphaTauri gliding, and you'll hear it in my voice for sure. Right, we're going to the final division. I'll try and get through this one fairly quickly because this has actually turned out to be a longer podcast than I expected it to be. There's just so much to talk about in this race weekend coming back from the break. Division 1, chaotic race, wet qualifying. We looked like Reese was going to win the race. Got late 10-second penalty to move him down to 7th. He is my driver loser. We'll jump straight to that category as I talk about him. Reese is yet to win a race, I believe, but has had the... Oh, did he win in Monza? No, that was no, he lost it on... He didn't win it on the last lap, did he? That was Alfie, yes, right. So, yeah, Reese is yet to win a race. He has 100% the pace to. I really like the guy. But since he joined late to the season, his first race, I believe, was Portugal, which means he's done 5 races. This is his 5th race out of the 9. He's already up to P8 in the standings. But he might be a little too far away to fight for the title, especially when 10-second penalties are being handed out. While, obviously, the penalty was controversial on itself, it happened at Le Combe, and he was on the outside of the first corner of Le Combe, turned in, and an Aston Martin was there. The Aston Martin collided with a Haas as well, causing it to spin, and it caused a bit of a build-up. While I do believe that Reese avoided the penalty well enough, like he felt the tap on the Aston Martin and swerved away. Good reactions in the grand scheme of things. And the blame the AlphaTauri put it on was the fact that the Haas on the inside, which I believe was Big Pow, stuck his nose in, and it was a suicidal move. While I completely agree, he was axle to axle. It was a legal move. While it's a bit of a ratty move to do, it was a legal move. You can do that. And even then, I'm pretty sure the Aston Martin would have spun, even with the Haas not being there. So it was worthy of a 10-second penalty. And even if it wasn't, I mean, Liam did the exact same thing in earlier that weekend in Division 4. And I believe that was a 10. If not, that was a 5. But because he was the one that lost out of it, I think it was a 5 because he was the one that spun. But yeah, difficult corner. We saw twice 3 abreast going into that corner and there being an incident. It's unfortunate it happened for Reese, involving Reese, who was leading the race at the time, or at least fighting for the win anyway. And lost another win, demoted down to P7. Toby Monkey ended up going up to P2, so I suppose that's good points for AlphaTauri in the grand scheme of things, from Toby Monkey being P2. But my team winner is definitely going to be Haas. I think Haas had a brilliant drive. Pow up in P1, Oliver under the podium in P3. This is the points that they needed to make up for the poor performance from... I say poor performance, the mistake that OJ made that caused him to potentially lose the race win. I think the Haas... I mean, I still are under the impression that Haas is the next upcoming team. I truly believe it. I mean, ignoring Alfa Romeo, because obviously they're already... they're not even up and coming, they're up already. The next team I think that's going to join this front fight that's not already in this front fight is Haas. I truly believe that because, I mean, they've already overtaken Aston Martin this weekend in the OCC, and they are right on the tail of Red Bull. They are 7 points behind, only 34 points behind P5. So within 34 points, they can gain another 3 positions. In fact, actually, speaking of this battle for P5, goodness me, because we talked about it in the podcast, in the big podcast in the mid-season break between Mercedes, Williams, and Red Bull. But we're completely missing out the rest of it. Haas and Aston Martin are joined the fight. Within 50 points, there's 5 teams. You know how ridiculous that is? It is for sure going to be a very interesting fight to see what happens in this enormous battle for P5. But I do believe that Haas might win and get this P5. If not, maybe Mercedes, because they seem to be on good form recently. But yeah, I truly believe that Haas is the next upcoming thing. And with drivers up at the front in Division 1, like Pow and Oliver, it's getting them a lot of big points. In fact, speaking of, they've got a lot of big drivers as well. So, yeah, good on them for getting that performance and getting those points in. My driver winner, I've done this in a horrible order. I'm going back to front. My driver winner is Wavy, brand new signing for Alpine. Qualified 17th, finished 5th. Unreal. Unfortunately, qualifying, I think he may have validated his couple of runs, but to get to P5, based all on merit, clearly a quick guy. If he puts the effort in, potentially Alpine big signing, a huge signing from Alpine to be scoring those big points. It's very exciting. Now, my team loser is going to be McLaren. Jamie, they're one of 2 signed drivers. Obviously, Cynthia couldn't race this weekend. Jamie qualified 12th, finished 11th. Very poor. I mean, not to be disrespectful to Jamie, because fine, fine, it was a drive. But what McLaren are aiming for, it needs to be much more than that. McLaren are P2 in the OCC, and rapidly Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri are gaining. Similarly to what I said about Division 3 and Kiernan and Osimhen Joes, is that I appreciate there's not much Blake can do, but one of the options he can do is maximize what he's got right now, and that is not maximizing. His reserve got qualified P16, finished P14. He was mauled by both Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri. It is worrying to say, because like I said in the podcast, I didn't think that McLaren would be caught. I now want to change my answer. And we'll have to see how the next few rounds come up. The OCC is spicing up more in the second half than it did in the first. Right, thank you very much for everyone for joining me. Again, apologies for this podcast being late. Usually it is out on Tuesday or latest Wednesday. It is coming out on Thursday today because I was ill in the first half of the week. I do apologise. I will be back on it in the coming weeks. But yes, we are heading to Austria, another sprint race. Our third of 4 sprint races this weekend. It is Austria. It is the Red Bull Ring. 3 DRS straights. I had to count there. 3 DRS straights, 10 corners, constant overtaking. This is going to be a game of strategy, the quickest lap time of the entire calendar, and I will see you there.